Well, back on the '02 Plymouth Voyager, as you can see, the rear wheel is kind of at an angle. Well, that's reason for that is the rear axle has broken. So as you can see, I got my work cut out for me today on the rear here. So luckily, I've got the old Harbor Freight 6,000 pound scissor lift to get it up in the air and pull this off, and hopefully I can get it replaced today. So I'm going to remove the brake line, the emergency brake cable, kind of loosen up these 4 bolts, and hopefully I can just set this down, get rid of that shock as well. And I'll bring it back down off the lift, I'll bring it back up, and hopefully this will just lay rest on the floor. Now before you get started, you want to soak everything down as much as you can. So yes, everything that I'm doing here, just repeat on the other side. So once we get this off, maybe we'll work on the emergency brake cable. Let's go ahead. I want to remove this bracket first from my brake line so I can get out of the way. So let's see if we can loosen this up. Oh yeah, no problem. No problem at all. That's a good sign. Let's try this one. Oh yeah. So far, things are coming off pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now we can very carefully get that brake line right up out of the way. All right, let's go ahead and remove the shock. So the next thing we need to do is we've got to get this drum off so we can get the emergency cable off. And I've got a brake spoon here that I'm going to get in here behind to readjust the shoes so that will slide off. Let's try that. There it goes. Alright, now what I need to do is take the shoes off here and get in there so I can disconnect the emergency brake cable. I'm not going to get too carried away here, because if you've replaced brakes and you're getting ready to replace this axle, then you probably already got a pretty good idea on how to do all this. So unless I run into a problem, I'm just going to go ahead and disassemble this now. So as you can see, I just took the whole assembly out of there, and now I can get in there to the emergency brake. Some little clips on there, you gotta get just right for that to come out of there. Right, let's go ahead and wire tie that up out of the way, or baling wire, whatever you want, a string, whatever you got. Now the only thing I have left to do on this side, I got the shock all disconnected, is to remove both these bolts. I'm going to remove this one. This side is ready to roll. Got all 3 bolts out. I got this one loosened, ready to come out. The emergency brake cable is off. The brake line is off. We are all set on this side. So now we're going to duplicate everything we've just done here on the other side. Okay, I got the other side all ready to drop down as well. And the only thing that's different on this side is we got this some sort of a sensor bar here and another little bracket here. So that's we're going to remove this one, and then we're ready to lower this down and remove the whole axle beam. Now we got this all taken care of. This is the only bolt that broke. That one right there. Hopefully the one that I'm going to be picking up from the junkyard is not that way. If it is, no problem. I'll just make it on there. So this is all set to go. What I'll do now is I'm going to lower the van, and we'll remove the axle beam. Now if this works the way it should, I'm going to take those 2 last bolts out and lift it up, and it should stay right there. Yeah. That was a disaster waiting to happen right there. So we got the new one, picked it up for about $131 at the local junkyard. And what's nice about this is the shoes and some of the hardware looks relatively new on this. So somebody had replaced the shoes on this before they had junked the van. So what they have done is they just cut the emergency brake cable, cut the brake line and so forth. I'm going to just spray everything down and get it ready to go, and I will take this stuff off once it's underneath back on the van. I'm a little spoiled with the lift. It's nice to work up in the air a little bit. I am going to remove this because I already have it ready to go up there. And I had taken this bracket off, they had left it on, so I'll just kind of slide that arm in there as I bring it up. So I'm just going to spray everything down, let it soak in while I install it. Again, I'm going to take care of all these brake lines and so forth once it's underneath. Now let's go ahead and lower it down a little bit, line it up. And before we go any further here, let's go ahead and get that rod there out, and we're going to kind of line that up in there. Now we just need to line it up a little bit here. Okay, should be all set. So this side is all set to go. I didn't want to bore you with going through the whole process, just reverse what we had already done. Bolts are all tightened up. The spring is now attached to the axle beam. The brake line is all attached, ready to go. The emergency brake cable is all set. Have the bleeder screw all loosened up, ready to bleed. All we got to do is put the wheel on, bleed the brakes, and we're set to go. So we'll just repeat this process for the other side, and we'll see what happens. I thought I'd show this in case you run into this problem. The axle was over to the right about 1/8 of an inch, not allowing me to get the bolt in there. So I just took my Porta Power, my Harbor Freight Porta Power, and I just kind of set that up so I could push it over to the right ever so slightly so I could get the bolt in. So, and now I should be able to just slide that in. I'll put a little never seize on there, bolt in there. And we're all set to go. Another pretty good use for the Porta Power is the shock was giving me some troubles putting it on, and so I just put the Porta Power underneath it and lifted up on a little bit so I could slide the shock in. So again, another nice little addition to my arsenal of tools. Alright, another successful project on the 02 Chrysler Voyager minivan, also known as the soccer mom and family bus. Seems like I'm always working on this thing. I didn't concentrate on in showing you how to put the brakes back on or bleeding the brakes and all that stuff, or the emergency brake cable. I showed you how I took it all apart, but I just wanted to concentrate on the axle beam itself. So it's all up there, it's ready to go. Just go lower it down and take it for a spin. So I hope this helps you out with your problems, and thanks an awful lot for watching.